Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 17th, 2019 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and this is a special podcast because this marks the season premiere of my third season of this wrestling podcast. Of course, my podcast I've decided to conduct following the WWE's calendar year, which pretty much culminates each year at WrestleMania. And this year's WrestleMania was WrestleMania 35. So I am going to, before I proceed into this weekend's pay-per-view and this weekend's pay-per-view, my predictions for this weekend's pay-per-view, I'm going to just recount my performance with my predictions over this past year as and compared to it my first season of doing this podcast. So after WrestleMania 35's matches, originally the WWE's website had posted 15 matches for the card. There wound up only being 12 on the main card. Regardless, I had given my predictions for 15 that were posted on the website, so I only guessed 8 of those correctly, but for the year, I had a better season than I did than in my first season of giving my predictions. For the total for the year of season 2 of my podcast, out of 118 matches of all the pay-per-views since WrestleMania 34, I guessed 74 of those matches correctly, giving me a percentage of 63%. The first season, I finished out of a total of 110 matches. I guessed 64 of those correct, which gave me a prediction percentage of 58%. So I've got a boost of 5% from season 1 to season 2. So here's hoping in season 3 I'll keep that prediction count rolling and keep boosting that even higher. And so, heading into this first pay-per-view pay-per-view event since WrestleMania 35, it is the much-beloved Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which originally started as a match at WrestleMania that was held yearly for many years, and the WWE decided to turn that into an annual pay-per-view event as opposed to keeping that match at WrestleMania, which I personally feel was a big mistake. I liked having this match as a staple on WrestleMania for many years, but what can you do about that? One change I'm going to implement this season compared to the last two is that, as I just noted already at the start of this podcast, the WWE changed on their website on the day of WrestleMania 35 this year. They had on their site 15 matches officially booked on the match card. And this is generally how I do decide and give my predictions for the matches. I look at what WWE officially posts as their matches. However, because of probably time constraints and whatever else, they only included 12 on the main card, even though the day of they said that there would be 15 that would be featured. So, and I must say that a few of those matches which I'd given predictions for, which wound up being on the pre-show, which I never watch, kind of altered my prediction count for that night, which was a bit annoying. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to, a lot of times they scale back to WWE, they'll list all these matches, and then they will, again, just like at WrestleMania, they'll, due to time constraints or whatever else, they will start cutting matches or move them to the pre-show. And as always, because I feel that WWE events in recent years have gone on way too long, especially the big ones like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, I'm going to give my predictions for the matches they state, but then I'm only going to tally the ones that actually appear on the event itself. So, meaning there will be certainly some prediction shows I give where I'm going to be giving additional predictions for matches which wind up not being included on the card and on the event itself. So therefore, I will not factor those into my count for the year. So just that's a heads up for anybody who is paying any attention to how I'm performing with my prediction rates. So having said that, I am actually conducting this pay-per-view a couple days before the actual pay-per-view on Sunday. Not always going to be able to do my podcast on Sunday, and this is one of those instances. So I'm going to base this on what the matches I've already seen posted online on a few reliable sources, and again, probably scale back if some of these get moved to the pre-show. And there's one in particular I suspect will, certainly, if not more than one. And before I get into this Money in the Bank predictions, another factor I should note is sometimes the WWE, and this is even more rare, I would say, is that they will add matches to the event itself that were not listed anywhere online or on their website, that they just decide to add on the spur on the day of, during the course of the show, perhaps. Those matches I, of course, would not be able to possibly give any predictions for. So those ones I will not include in my prediction count either. So just the ones that actually happened that that we're all aware of beforehand. So now that I've gotten all of that boring stuff out of the way, on to the pay-per-view itself. So this is Money in the Bank, and for the third year in a row now, we are having two Money in the Bank matches at the pay-per-view, one for the men and one for the ladies, of course. So starting with one match here that I suspect will get moved to the pre-show, so my prediction for this may not wind up mattering at all, but it's for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, with champion Tony Nese taking on Arya Daivari. My prediction for this is that Tony Nese will retain his Cruiserweight Championship on this one. The second match of the 10 matches that are, or at least initially posted right now, is for the WWE United States Championship, featuring Samoa Joe, the champion, taking on Rey Mysterio. This is one that I have a feeling this is a feud that they already fought at WrestleMania last month in April, and this feud has persisted as well, and I have a feeling that it's going to go a little bit longer than this. I think it's going to go into another month. I have a feeling because of that they're going to give the belt to Rey Mysterio here. It might be a short run, and it might go back to Samoa Joe soon after, but I have a feeling, like I said, this is a feud that won't culminate at Money in the Bank. I think it will go a little bit longer. So I'm going with Rey Mysterio to win the United States Championship, which I think would be, it'd be nice to see Rey Mysterio get another WWE belt. It's been a long time since the fans have got to see that, so I'm going with Rey Mysterio there. But something tells me if he does win, he's not going to hold on to this belt very long. The next match is for the singles match for the WWE Championship, with Kofi Kingston as, of course, the newly crowned champion at WrestleMania, taking on Kevin Owens. I feel that after all the craziness that Kofi Kingston had to endure, all the obstacles that the McMahon family put in front of him, and culminating in that amazing match at WrestleMania, to me, really the only classic match from WrestleMania this year that was top notch. There's no chance in my mind they're going to take the belt from Kofi Kingston just this quickly after depriving him of a WWE championship in his 11-year career with the company. So this is a feud that might continue on. It's tough to say, of course, but I think regardless, and I should note, I think there's going to probably be some potential interference or certainly distractions going on. Kevin Owens might get his old buddy back, Sami Zayn, to come and cause some distractions, possible interference. But I think Kofi Kingston's New Day partner, Xavier Woods, he's going to, I think, be able to help weather the storm. Regardless, Kofi Kingston is my pick to retain the WWE Championship on Sunday night. The next match is a steel cage match between The Miz and Shane McMahon. I'm a little bit surprised. This was one that I got wrong at WrestleMania. I thought The Miz would win their match, their Falls Count Anywhere match. mainly because Shane McMahon is not a regular full-time wrestler, and nor should he be. He's not that good in the ring. Anyone that disagrees with me, well, I'd be happy to point out why he doesn't compare to some of these other far more talented performers who, I should also note, do work year-round for this company and put in the time in all this. So I'm not a fan of guys like Shane McMahon and Triple H. I voice this every year at WrestleMania. They just arrive and do their match, get a big paycheck, and then they disappear from the storyline for months. Or at least if they don't disappear from the storyline, they're not active as wrestlers for many months. So I'm a little surprised that this feud has continued on to this month. So with at least that logic I just pointed out, I don't think Shane McMahon's going to continue wrestling after this, at least for a while. I think he's going to step back, maybe do his whatever, his GM, his commissioner type of stuff on one of the shows. But he's clearly going to, I think, keep his heel character that he's had for the last month or two. But I suspect The Miz will win this steel cage match, hopefully signifying an end to this little feud, and Shane McMahon will gracefully step aside and stop wrestling and let others, get these spots on pay-per-views and deserving paydays. So The Miz is my pick to win this steel cage match. The next match is one of two championship matches that Becky Lynch will be competing in this Sunday. Becky Lynch, of course, won both belts at WrestleMania 35, defeating Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat, in a winner-takes-all, winning both belts. This is a tricky one because it being at Money in the Bank. I've been thinking for the last few weeks that Becky, I think, is for sure losing one of these belts. And I've been thinking for the last few weeks that it would likely be at the hands of whoever won the Money in the Bank ladder match that same night. And I think they would potentially cash in on Becky Lynch and make her lose one of these belts. However, I've had a change of heart. I don't think whoever does win that Money in the Bank ladder match, which I will get to in a few moments, whoever wins that, I don't think will cash in on this night. I think Becky Lynch will lose one of these belts in a different way. So this first title match, which I'm going to be predicting, is for the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch is defending against up-and-comer Lacey Evans, the Southern Sassy Belle. I don't think, even though Lacey Evans, she hasn't been competing very long, at least in the top program, she's been appearing for the last couple months, interrupting matches, just interrupting promos, just interrupting constantly, just to kind of what would appear to keep her on the WWE universe's, on their, just on everybody's keeping her on their mind, so we know she's in the picture. I don't think she's set to win a title yet. I would be very surprised if she does. So I predict that Becky Lynch will defeat Lacey Evans soundly in this one. And I may as well talk about the follow-up match for this, the secondary women's championship match on the night. Becky Lynch competing against Charlotte Flair. I think instead of a Money in the Bank winner cashing in this match, I think what's going to happen is Lacey Evans will be very upset for losing and will cost Becky Lynch the belt to Charlotte Flair. Why I think this is another reason I feel that will happen this way is because we've been seeing Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair competing against each other in triple threat matches or against one another for the better part of the last 6 months, half a year, whatever. I think everybody is a little bit tired of this. We need a break from this, and we need some new programs in this women's division. I think why that would be a nice setup is would continue a feud with Becky and Lacey Evans on Raw, presumably, if Becky would stay there. And Charlotte Flair would have the SmackDown title and could start some new programs with other deserving wrestlers on that show. So At least for now. I mean, again, it's Becky and Charlotte do put on good matches, so it's not as though we're not going to see any more of these matches in the future, but I think we all need a reprieve from this, a break, because we've seen enough of them competing in the last 6 months or whatever. So, or even possibly longer, since they even fought at SummerSlam as well. So that's how I feel that this is going to shake out. There are so many numerous possibilities, so I could wind up being completely wrong here. But I do think Becky Lynch will retain the Raw Women's belt, so she'll still have one, but I think she'll lose the SmackDown Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair because Lacey Evans will screw her over in that one. So those are my predictions for those two matches. The next match on the card is a singles match between Roman Reigns and Elias. This is one feud that I suspect will continue on beyond Money in the Bank, because it seems that the company and the McMahon family particularly is giving Elias quite a strong heel push now. And I think he deserves that. He has been, putting on good promos and putting on decent matches for the better part of the last, year and a half or so. Hasn't really been rewarded with any belts yet. So I think, not that this is necessarily going to lead to a championship or anything right now straight away, but this is elevating him, I think, to more top contender status at least. And since Elias has been in cahoots with the McMahon family lately, who as a result has been also against Roman Reigns, I think Shane McMahon will come to Elias's assistance and help him defeat Roman Reigns here, setting up this program will resume in the next month or two as well, with Roman Reigns probably defeating Elias at another time. But this way it doesn't make Roman Reigns look weak, but it also makes Elias, who's gotten a really strong heel push lately as a bad guy, look good and look strong. So that's how I feel that match is going to shake out. I think Elias will be the winner of that match, probably with a little help from his friend Shane. Okay, moving on to the first of the two Money in the Bank ladder matches. The first one is the Women's Championship match. And each of these two matches has 8 competitors in them, 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown, respectively. That's a lot of people to try and pick a winner from. So I know my odds aren't that fantastic for picking the victor in either match, but I'm going to give it my best shot. On the on the women's match rather, we have Natalya, Dana Brooke, Naomi, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Ember Moon, Carmella, and replacing Alexa Bliss, according to WWE's website, is now Nikki Cross. So Nikki Cross is now replacing Alexa Bliss, and that's actually a big, subtraction / addition to this match, as Alexa Bliss has, I think a lot of people would have considered her as one of the favorites in this match since she won last year. So that said, I think now that this is the winner here is going to go to somebody who's going to get a new push, who has not had any championships yet. And I think the company wants to see what they can do with potentially a title run, or at least being in the main event picture. So in my mind, it comes down to between Ember Moon and Mandy Rose. And I'm going to go with Mandy Rose winning the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't really have any particular reason. I think that pretty much all these women are deserving to win, and certainly, fighting some main event, women's main event matches. But I just have a feeling that Mandy Rose is on the cusp of a big push from the company. I just feel that's, just sort of the feeling I get, I suppose, that the company is going to give her a strong push this year. So that's what I feel is Mandy Rose is my pick for that Money in the Bank ladder match. And the men's match, like I said, also has 8 competitors. The 8 competitors are Sami Zayn, who took over Braun Strowman's spot, or defeated Braun Strowman to earn that spot. Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, and Randy Orton. This is another one where I feel that, kind of like Mandy Rose, I think the company is going to reward someone in the men's side and give them a push this year. And in my mind, someone that certainly deserves that. Well, I guess there's a few, but I could see Sami Zayn being as one of the winners. I could see Finn Balor as being someone. But the one who I think has the best shot, and I think is certainly deserving and is in a prime red-hot heel position right now, is Drew McIntyre. I do think Braun Strowman, after getting screwed out of his spot by Sami Zayn and with some help from Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre, is going to come down, cause some havoc, and certainly prevent guys like Zayn and maybe Corbin from getting it. But I think, even in spite of that, I think McIntyre is the guy. Now, I might be shooting myself in the foot by choosing McIntyre because of the reason I just mentioned, that Braun Strowman is going to most assuredly come down during this match, cause some hell, basically knock some of these guys out of the contention of winning that briefcase. But I just, given the momentum that Drew McIntyre's had since he returned to the company last year, and he's got, I think, all the ingredients to be a guy in the title scene this year. And that said, so does Braun Strowman. I've been saying this for months now. He's a guy that I think will get a push in this next year into the top contender status for one of the main belts. Much like same with Finn Balor, another guy who I'm happy he does have his Intercontinental Championship, because he's certainly been deserving of a belt. But he's another guy like Strowman who I feel will get elevated into the top title status soon. But yeah, Drew McIntyre is my pick. I just feel like he fits the bill right now. I think he's the guy, considering that right now on both shows, Raw and SmackDown, the top belts are with babyface good guy characters. I think we need a heel character to get the win here and win the Money in the Bank. So Drew McIntyre is my selection for that match. And now the final match of the night is for the Universal Championship, with Seth Rollins being the defending champion, taking on AJ Styles. This matchup should be great. These two haven't competed in a high-profile match yet for a big belt. So this should be a really good one. This, those people who tune into wrestling to watch great wrestling matches, we should be in for a treat with this one. Much like with Kofi Kingston winning his belt, I mentioned, or my prediction of him retaining his belt, over Kevin Owens earlier in my predictions, I feel that Seth Rollins, even though I don't know how this one's really going to end, I don't know if there is going to be some interference that's going to affect things, but I just feel that it's too soon to take the belt away from Seth Rollins after he defeated Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. And maybe there's my answer. Maybe Brock Lesnar might come out and screw Rollins out of this, and it could go back to AJ Styles. But I suspect we won't see Brock Lesnar again until probably closer to SummerSlam. I have no information or evidence to back that up. I just have a feeling that's certainly in the past many years, that's when we see Brock Lesnar is always at the big 4 WWE pay-per-views each year, and I think we won't see him for a little while right now. So I don't know how this one's going to wind up, or at least how it'll come to the outcome that it will, but I do believe Seth Rollins is going to be the winner, retaining his championship. And I see this as a feud. If it doesn't continue right away, we're going to see more matches between these two in the future. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Those are my 10 matches predicted for Sunday night. Again, I highly doubt that all 10 will be featured on the main event or on the actual pay-per-view itself. And I will make the adjustments following the actual the telecast on Sunday. But Money in the Bank's exciting. I think we're going to see some twists and turns. Since WrestleMania, of course, there's been a superstar shakeup. There's also been some new wildcard rule that Vince McMahon has implemented, where 3 or 4, it sounds like 4 different superstars can just go over to the opposing show whenever they kind of feel like it. It's kind of, things are really discombobulated right now. Things are really a bit chaotic. I think even for fans that watch every week, it's kind of confusing to see who belongs to which program right now. And I'm not a fan of having separate rosters anyway, so hopefully this is maybe signifying that they're going to put everybody one roster and have just the best talent appear on both shows kind of thing. I don't know. But maybe that's not likely to happen. But regardless, it's rather confusing right now, even though they've had many weeks to kind of set things up for this pay-per-view. After WrestleMania, they've had about a month and a half. It's still a bit confusing. But there have been some nice debuts, and I think Money in the Bank there will be some surprises in store. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, thanks very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you liked what you heard. And I think we're in for a good show. So thanks again for listening, and see you next time.